Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Player Zone YouTube channel. And we're back here on a Thursday for the favourite of the channel here. It's a Premier League predictions for Matchweek 33. We keep getting closer towards the end of the season here. Almost now half a dozen games to go. So really exciting for some of the big teams. Storylines all over the league. And we've got some massive games this weekend. Seen some massive teams. So very excited for that. Look back quickly to last week, to Matchweek 32 predictions. I managed 8 more points of our prediction points, adding to the total of 189 coming into the weekend. 2 scorelines correct, by the way, so very happy with that, which takes now our total to 197 of our prediction points. If you're somehow new here in Matchweek 33, thank you for joining us. The point system works as so. 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result, and obviously 0 points for neither. So much improved effort. 8 points, probably one of our best results over the last few weeks, so happy with that. And I hope we can get some more correct scorelines this weekend with some maybe a bit more gettable, predictable games. So looking forward to that. Before we get into the predictions, guys, if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, and subscribing on this video, that would be much appreciated. We're hoping to grow the channel to 500 subscribers before the end of the football season. Any new subscribers and viewers would be much appreciated. With that all being said, ladies and gents, let's get straight into the predictions. Our first game sees us go up north, Newcastle hosting Tottenham. Obviously the game last year where Newcastle blew Tottenham out with the 3 or 4 goals almost in quick succession at the start of that game there. That was historic, but we come to this game here with a whole different story, a whole different philosophies and formulas. Tottenham coming to this team, the aggressive team that's likely to get on top early on. Quickly touching on Newcastle, however, coming off a really impressive result versus Fulham. Not really in control in the first half, but battled and fought hard. And with all the injuries they've got, you got to show a bit of character, and that's what they did versus Fulham. And come the second half, they started to flex their muscles, and eventually Bruno Guimaraes scored that goal there. And they're going to sort of rely on that same sort of formula again, I think, versus Tottenham. Less time on the ball in terms of possession, sitting in deeper and absorbing some of Tottenham's pressure, and then trying to expose that high line. As most weeks the formula is to versus Tottenham, is exposing that high line, exposing them throwing too many numbers forward or over-possessing the football. That's how Newcastle are going to get at Tottenham. I know they're at home, and I know the fans probably want to see some attacking football, but they want to get the big 3 points here in Newcastle and keep on track for some European football. You're going to have to sacrifice a bit of the style of football here to try and get the result. I'm looking for the likes of Isak, Barnes, Gordon, and Bruno Guimaraes, the leaders that are available currently to stand up for this side here and to get them over the line, because it's going to be a tough battle there, especially against Tottenham, whose front 3, front 4 are firing right now. They come up after a 3-1 win versus Nottingham Forest last time out. They rode like a little bit Chris Wood, missing the almost unmissable chance that could have put the game into a different direction. But once again, Spurs, when they flex their muscles, especially second half, they are so hard to stop. Pedro Porro, Mickey van der Ven scoring belters, showing how this team's formula and philosophy is all about attacking, getting numbers forward. And these 2 defenders scored some absolute worldies, just to summarise how Ange has played his football this season. I think they'll take a very similar sort of play style in this game here, that attacking football, throw numbers forward, and not being afraid of playing at St James's Park. And I think they'll get the result doing that. I've got them winning this game 3-1. I think Newcastle's absentees, especially in midfield and defensive areas, just makes it so difficult for them to defend against this really aggressive front-footed Tottenham side. So I've got Tottenham winning this game 3-1. Our next game takes us into London. It's Brentford hosting Sheffield United, 2 teams towards the bottom, sort of 5 to 6 positions down the table. An interesting game. Brentford in recent weeks, we've seen that Thomas Frank resilience and versatility in their way they play their football. 3 draws in a row, could have easily been 3 wins. That Man United game, you think they should have won that. They probably should have held on for a win versus Aston Villa, and then a Brighton draw in between that there. But you look at 3 of those teams there, 3 teams amongst the European positions, amongst the top 9 spots, and it goes to show this team sort of coming back and refining that formula. Hard to beat, nitty gritty. It looked like the Sergio Reguilon creating that exciting attacking football in the role of Henry, as he used to do before he got injured this season. Last season, that's what we saw from that. Look at Verslev, a really important player for their system, versatile. And I see this team being a very versatile team. You don't play Ivan Toney for most parts of last game versus Villa, but it's in Burma and Vissa combining so well to be such a counter-attacking threat. And that's what they did versus Villa. and they did at times versus Brighton as well. Absorb a lot of pressure, be fine to sit in that sort of 5-back shape, compact, two holding to defensive midfielders in front of that back five, and really play 7 behind the ball. But when you turn the ball over, play with pace, use the flanks, allow Visser and Mbeumo to sort of separate and spread the defence, and then just try and make the most of it. And that 10-minute spell where they scored all 3 of their goals goes to show that Brentford have got that clinical edge in the final third, which has been missing for a lot of times this season. Their form is built on defensive solidity, versatility, and then the ability to go be clinical at the other end and score goals and create things out of nothing. And that's what they did versus Villa, and they nearly got all 3 points from it. Coming off the next game, Sheffield United, they came off a very impressive comeback, 2-2 draw versus Chelsea. Oli McBurney once again coming up clutch in the final moments. And once again, if they're going to get anything out of this game, they need to score some goals, and it's going to come from Oli McBurney, Ben Brereton Diaz, and Gustavo Harmer, creating that sort of spark, that X factor, that creativity. When one of these guys are slightly off, the team doesn't look quite at it, the level of quality isn't quite there. We know the defence is not good enough, and Thiago Silva unmarked in the box for one of the Chelsea goals. You've got to just outscore some teams at the moment. I don't think they're going to stay up, but they're being more impressive in recent weeks. A few draws across the last few games there. You look at draws for Chelsea, made it hard for Liverpool, drew against Fulham, drew against Bournemouth. So they're a much improved side. I think they'll take it to Brentford, but I think Brentford, with the form they've got, and about time they get a win. I've got them winning this game 2-1. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be very, very tight, but I think Brentford's quality and the home crowd advantage will just get them over the line in this game here. Our next game is in Manchester. It's Manchester City hosting Luton Town. City obviously coming off a great few games here. Back-to-back 4-goal performances in the Premier League. Then go away to Madrid and score 3 goals and secure a 3-3 draw away from home against one of the toughest teams in world football. And yet then they're still not fully into that sort of sports mode, that final gear where they hit the final end of the season run in. Kevin De Bruyne looks like he's at his best, but didn't even play in the Champions League. Bernardo Silva was very impressive versus Real Madrid. Phil Foden continues to score worldie after worldie and continues to impress for Man City. I think he's the key once again, taking the pressure off these big-time players. I said it all the way through when I did my run-in video and I've done the recent predictions in recent weeks. It's going to fall on him to do what he can do in terms of being special, creating those amazing moments, scoring those beautiful goals, because Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Haaland, they at times get closed down and shut out, forced out of games. So you look at Grealish, you look at Foden to try and create things. And Foden's historic season, his confidence and form just keeps thriving. And once again, he'll keep carrying this side here. I don't know how much rotation the City side will have, because I think going up against Luton, especially at home, it doesn't look like a game that's going to cause them much problems. Obviously, Luton caused some of the top teams problems against Man City in the reverse leg, the reverse fixture. They were really aggressive early on, scored some goals early and made it hard for City. It took some moments of brilliance, and even if it takes moments of brilliance once again to beat Luton, I still reckon they're not going to have enough. Obviously, they got the momentum after that historic win coming from behind versus Bournemouth, the first they've had this year in the Premier League. But going to City is a whole different kettle of fish, and the form City in right now, come the back end of the season, will be too much for Luton to handle. I think they nick a goal somewhere, but I got Man City winning this game quite easily, 4-1. I think City's charge for the title starts now. It looks like they've just got that ego back. Haaland scoring some goals. De Bruyne looks unstoppable. Foden's unstoppable. And Rodri hasn't lost a game when he's played for ages, it feels like. So this team right now is firing, and I think they get a quite easy win here versus Luton. Our next game is in the Midlands. It's Nottingham Forest hosting Wolves. An interesting sort of fixture here. Nottingham Forest still trying to escape that relegation scrap, which they can do here if they get a massive win versus Wolves. But I think it's going to be a difficult game for them. Gary O'Neill sets his sides up to be hard to beat, especially away from home. And look at Nottingham Forest. They've had some really great performances, some great moments, but not consistent enough results and sort of outputs this season, especially under Nuno Espirito Santo. We've seen a turnaround, but they're still amongst that relegation scrap and relegation group. And look at that moment versus Spurs where Chris Wood has to just lift the ball over Vicario, put the ball in the back of the net, but he blasts it and misses the target hit coming off the woodwork. That hurts them. That's a big moment that could, maintain control or gain control of that game there after a well-produced goal that found him early on. Obviously, he's their key at the moment. Keep feeding Chris Wood. He's in the goal-scoring form of his life right now, and especially how they play at the City ground. When they turn possession over or they get the chance to, they try and play with pace. I think that's a good way to try and expose this Wolves back line which is going to be so robust, so compact, and so resilient. And I think Nottingham Forest, they love to play with pace. Look at Morgan Gibbs-White, you look at Anthony Alanga, Hudson-Odoi and Origi when they play. They want to play with open grass ahead of them. They want to play with that pace, turning the ball over with like Yates and Murillos and these type of really aggressive tackling sort of players and get going quickly the other way. And that's how they score their goals. That's when they look at their best, because they have to beat a Wolves side who come off a really unfortunate 2-1 loss to West Ham. But once again, I keep saying all the names are out. But Gary O'Neill sets his side up to fight. They fight hard. They defend well. And mind now, Ait-Nouri looks like one of the best players in the world. He keeps producing for Wolves. All good things that happen at the moment come through Ait-Nouri. He's attacking attempts, pushing forward a little bit more. That license to go forward. And then defensively as well, can cover off really, really well. And look at that midfield there. Undermanned, undernamed as well. Not your known players, but they're all playing a role and they're all working for each other at the moment. I think that's great to see. This Wolves side is really lifting up to the occasion, prove they can still get it done without these players. And I think as such, they can get a result here. We know how tough they can be to beat. They can be very pragmatic at times, but they take their chances when they get them and they defend really well without the ball. And as such, I got this game ending in a 1-1 draw. I think Nottingham Forest will need to obviously win it. They want to try and get out that relegation scrap, but Wolves still believe in themselves and they've got that instilled belief they can keep fighting despite of the players missing. And I think they'll get a very handy result away from home here. Next game sees relegation side of Burnley hosting Brighton. Burnley obviously last time out. I said it, I worried about it in the preview. They once again went up against Everton, another lowly ranked side that doesn't play some expansive football, and Burnley changed their philosophy once again to be possession-based, to be that playing out of the back style of football, and it hurt them once again. A lot of possessions, not many chances, turn the ball over, leading to red cards, leading to a goal, Murich's goal kick coming straight off Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And it just seems whenever they want to play in possession or play the more attacking style of football, it falls flat in its face. The players are not good enough to play the style of football in the Premier League. They can obviously do it in the Championship, but the level jump from the Premier League, the intensity, the pace and the power, it's just obviously not enough for these players. They don't have the facilities to do it. And as such, they will take games like this versus Brighton at home, where they can have the license to sit in 2 banks of 4, be nice and compact and force the other opposition side to turn the ball over or produce too many numbers forward and then break them. That's where I think Burnley look at their best this season, when they're able to turn the ball over, play from those deep line positions, Zander Berger, Brun Larsen, these sort of players playing from the deep line positions, creating from there, and allowing the likes of Fofana, who's been a revelation for this Burnley side, to score the goals, or Zeki Amdouni, using their pace, their youthfulness and their change of speed to get in behind and score those goals. Look at Brighton, obviously actually quite impressive versus Arsenal despite the 3-0 scoreline. They made it hard for Arsenal. They were compact. They frustrated them, and it took some awesome moments and a few mistakes for Arsenal to break through and score 3 goals. But it's no knock on Brighton. They look much better side in recent weeks. Haven't quite got the results to match that, but I think here is a chance for them to flex their muscles here. I look to the likes of Enciso, looks like for Danny Welbeck and Pascal Gross to create things, to be the spark for this unit, the leaders of this unit. And obviously players around them like Simon Dingra, Baleba, these are the guys to follow along. But I think this Brighton side's just refinding their feet a bit. Obviously no other cup football to worry about right now, so all the focus on the Premier League, and they'd love to keep pushing towards another European qualification through the league this season. I can see them win this game quite easy. I've got them winning this game 3-1. I don't think Burnley have anything to answer to this return to form Brighton side. Next game on the South Coast is Bournemouth hosting Manchester United. And we obviously know what happened here last time out. Bournemouth got the win at Old Trafford against Manchester United. And I think they'll do something quite similar here as well. Counter press, use smart play in those triangles, expose United if they get high up the pitch. But in many regards, when the former Man United and the injuries and lack of availability and lack of continuity, I wouldn't be surprised if there's roles reversed in this game here. And Bournemouth look to play in possession and play through the lines and control sort of 55 to 60% possession against Manchester United here. I think they're right now one of the best football sides in the Premier League in terms of their confidence on the ball. And I always say that front four there is so dynamic. And with United's problems at the back and lack of continuity and lack of partnerships, I think there's something to really expose there if you're Bournemouth. Like Semenyo and Clive, their trickiness and their directness in their running. Obviously, Dom Solanke, the goals he provides, and then for Marcus Tavernier, the ability to cut in, take shots to goal, test Onana, test these fullbacks to see if they're really up to the challenge. I think that's for Bournemouth is going to be their key. If they don't have the ball really going ahead of that counter-pressing, high pressing style of football they played against United at Old Trafford, not being afraid to play through the lines and play in triangles and pass it around Manchester United. But then if you're at home and United don't look up to it, playing with the ball, try and play through United. Utilise your wide players, utilise your pacey, quality, skillful players in the final third. Get them the ball, let them go to work. Obviously, Zarbani, Kirkez, the other back four, Neto, a part of the back four, back five there. They're going to be switched on. United, with their youngsters and their quality players, can cause problems. It depends which United shows up. But I have to back in. You've got to back that Bournemouth defence to try and hold up well against whatever United throw at them. Touching at United, exactly. It's all about what United shows up. Impressive once again versus Liverpool, but throwing away another lead late in a game. Wan-Bissaka with the stupidity, pure stupidity with the tackle there in the final moments on Harvey Elliott, which allowed Mo Salah to score that penalty. Another draw where they should have won it. 2-2 draw, a 4-3 loss to Chelsea, and then the 1-1 draw with Brentford. So a tough run of form here. But for United, you have to turn around sooner rather than later, and there's signs there. And I think if the right United, in terms of mentally switched on, shows up, we could be seeing a really, really interesting game here. You look to the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Kobe Mainoo, Rasmus Højlund, Alejandro Garnacho, young players in the skipper. When these guys are all playing well, United play well. So I'm looking to these guys to stand up and produce another great performance, especially Kobe Mainoo alongside Casemiro in that midfield area there. Because Bournemouth with Christie and Cook are really hard to dismantle and work around, to stop as well. They're a really all-rounded, multifaceted duo in midfield. So that's going to be a very interesting midfield battle. With it all being said, Bournemouth's form, Bournemouth being at home, and we don't know what we're going to get for Manchester United. I've gone with a Bournemouth tight 2-1 win for me. I think they've just got what it takes. Iriola's in-game management is spectacular, and that front four, you can't ignore the form all four of those guys are in at the moment. The next game is a Liverpool hosting Crystal Palace. Obviously, a disappointing 2-2 draw for Liverpool last time out versus Manchester United. Hands Arsenal the control of the league at the moment. They sit top. Liverpool drop into second. But any chance to bounce back is going to be on the weekend. Obviously, I'm recording this before the Europa League fixture, but they're going to have that as well here on a Thursday night. So a shorter turnaround, danger in terms of fitness and availability as they play Atalanta, a really solid side. So depends how strong they go in the Europa League and how much they want to focus on the Premier League here. But it's definitely a winnable game for them. I think Crystal Palace have caused Man City problems last time out. Probably one of their most impressive performances under Oliver Glasner. But over time, you can outwork this Crystal Palace defence. We know how good Liverpool are. They never give up. They keep fighting all the way through to the final whistle there and always find ways to break down these tough-to-beat backlines. Obviously, for Liverpool, you want to score first and just calm the nerves, especially at home, and get ahead and control the game. And if you're Crystal Palace, you want to try and nick one early, lucky against Man City, and cause a bit of havoc early on, and allow the big team of Joe go out there and express himself and play, and then you try and catch him again on the counter-attack. So it's a battle of who scores first and who can control the tempo of the game better. I look at Wharton, Hughes, Lerman, that midfield for Crystal Palace has a tough, robust midfield that doesn't give much quarter. Then I look to Liverpool, Endo, McAllister, Szoboszlai, such a creative, energetic, skillful group in the midfield. So it's two different type of midfields. Whoever can control that midfield battle, control the momentum of the game, can maybe score early, will likely go on and control this game and probably most likely win it. For that matter, I've got Liverpool winning this game 3-1, not one of their high-scoring, ridiculous 4 or 5 goal games, but a game where they create a lot of chances against Oliver Glasner's side that's 100% going to set up more of a pragmatic defensive style of football. Our next game is an all-London affair. It's West Ham hosting Fulham. And West Ham last time out, very impressive to come from behind there to beat Wolves 2-1 with a bit of controversy in there as well. But once again, standout performances from Lucas Paquetá, Zuma at the back. Obviously got Ward-Prowse scoring the most ridiculous direct corner goal. These type of players lifting in big moments. That's what you expect from West Ham. And I think they're going to need that once again here to compete and beat Fulham. A Fulham side that has been a yo-yo side like West Ham a lot this season. Obviously, they come off a disappointing 1-0 loss to Newcastle where they probably deserved to, own and boss that first half there versus Newcastle, but couldn't make the pressure count. You look to Alex Iwobi, you look to Andres Pereira, and you look to Muniz to try and create stuff and score goals and be a danger. And like the other game, whoever can score early and control the tempo of the game, both teams like to play in control of the tempo, we're lucky on to win the game. West Ham score early, a bit more pragmatic, a bit more defensive, allow Fulham to come onto them. If you Fulham, you score early, you don't have to push so many numbers forward, you have to be so aggressive, and you can manage the game from there on in. As I said, it's going to be very important for West Ham with their defensive struggles in recent weeks for Zuma to lead the back line and lead it well. And you're looking for one of those forwards up there with a Bowen, Paqueta, Kudus, Antonio, whoever plays are there, one of them to have a standout game, try and get the win. And then you look at Fulham, if they're going to get anything from this game, obviously Muniz has to lift. As I said, Iwobi and Alex Pereira, but also Tim Ream leading that back line, Anthony Robinson. Can we see those two find some of the form they had about a month or so ago where they were so consistent? With it all being said, I think these two teams cancel each other out a little bit. I've gone for a 1-1 stalemate type of draw. Again, any side who wants to take their chances, can capitalise on the half chances, will likely come away with all 3 points this one here. Next game sees current top of the table team, Arsenal, hosting a very dangerous Aston Villa. Another one of Arsenal's tough games to end the seasons off, but they've gone this great run, being unbeaten in 2024 in the Premier League. They once again took it to Bayern, the Champions League midweek, were arguably the better side in terms of they played the more attacking style of football. They did get exposed in the counter-attack a little bit by Bayern, but Aston Villa ain't quite Bayern, to be all honest here. They've got the same sort of players, but that's the real formula. Try and defend deep against Arsenal, force them to try and play it around. You'd have moments of brilliance. But for Arsenal, luckily enough, they did have moments of brilliance versus Bayern Munich, especially that second goal there, with Hades dropping down 2 defenders, rolling the ball back for Trossard and him scoring. And once again, I look to those sort of type of players, Jesus, Trossard, Thomas Partey, not the big stars this season, but the reserve tank team, the backups, the guys that will come off the bench, need them to stand up here, whether they play from the start or come off the bench. This Arsenal team is going to be fatigued. The big stars, Odegaard, Rice, Saka, Martinelli, these guys have played a lot of football, Champions League, Cup football, Premier League football, and they're on such a great run. It's almost time like you feel like they could fall apart right now. That's when the cavalry, the reserve group come through and still provide that energy and still provide that quality. And that's what Trossard and Jesus can definitely do, and what Thomas Partey can provide in that midfield area there. When talking about Aston Villa, I'm worried a little bit like the legs have gone out of them a little bit. A few more inconsistent performances as of recently. And you look to some of their big stars once again, like they did versus Arsenal in their reverse fixture at the midpoint towards Christmas this season, is defend really solid. Do what Bayern did. Can you get your wingers and wide players to invest and come in and defend? Defend is almost a 9 behind the ball. Really tough to break through and force Arsenal to try and be extravagant, try and make things happen. And that's when you can pounce using Watkins, Leon Bailey, Morgan Rogers on the counter-attack to try and nick a goal or nick a second goal to make a 2-goal lead. That's for me is a formula for both sides. With Arsenal's form though, the players they've got, and the good vibes around the club, the title chase, I've got them winning this game quite easily. I've got a 3-0 win, which might be ridiculous to some, but the form I have Arsenal is almost unstoppable, and they're going to be a very hard team to challenge, compete with, let alone beat. Our final game of the weekend sees Chelsea host Everton. Chelsea, obviously, team continuously disappointing, improving, being spectacular, being bad again. They just go through all these different phases in such a short period of time. And with that all being said, if they win their 2 games in hand on West Ham, they could be sitting in 7th right now, just showing how much of a poor season can still be a success. In an FA Cup final, made a Carabao Cup final, could potentially qualify for the Conference League through the league. That just goes to show that there's quality here, there's moments here. You saw the start of the game, they were great versus Sheffield United. I know there was some mistakes made, but they got on and control the game early and made it count. But the ability to control games, to manage games, for Leeds to stand up is not quite there in this Chelsea side. And a late equaliser there for Ollie McBurney goes to show, I know it was a bit lucky, but they just have that mentality to keep fighting, to keep teams out, to control games and control momentum. And that's where I'm worried about, especially in this game versus Everton. You like to play with momentum, like to play with their tails up, to defend for long periods of time, and then catch you on the counter-attack and expose you using McNeil and Harris on the flanks. They're an old-school type team, but they get the job done. And as such for Chelsea, you've got to be on the mark early. Feed Cole Palmer, feed Noni Madueke, allow Enzo to create from midfield areas. They're your three key players, the keys to goal, your keys to creation, to not be worried. I think for them, for Chelsea, score early, score maybe 1 or 2 early, try and kill the momentum of Everton, kill any chance of a comeback or any remarkable moment, reduce the stress and pressure around the stadium, and then you can get a win here. I've gone Everton just nicking this win, just enough, them winning this game 2-1 over Everton. I think Everton right now, they did get a win versus Burnley. Burnley were not their best. Everton can, for me, continue not to be a strong side, relying on James Garner, Dominic Calvert-Lewin to really make a difference. Obviously, an impressive win last time out, obviously on the back of a draw versus Newcastle. But I don't think they've got what it takes to continue performing at this high level and continue to get results. As such, got Chelsea winning this game 2-1. With that all being said, ladies and gents, that brings our predictions for Matchweek 33 for the Premier League to an end. We're getting so close to the end of the season now. Let me know in the comment section down below some of your predictions for these games, your thoughts. What are your biggest favourite game of the weekend? Obviously, mine's being Bournemouth versus Man United. One of my teams are playing one of the teams I enjoy watching in the Premier League, but also you've got Arsenal and Aston Villa for the title. Liverpool going against Crystal Palace. Man City playing Luton. How did Chelsea go versus Everton? There's so many great storylines like we experience every single week in the Premier League, and that's why we absolutely love it here on the channel. With it all being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash a like on it. Subscribe to the Players Zone channel. Press that post notification bell so you know when we upload. As I said, we're on the march here to 500 subscribers for the end of the football season. So hopefully we can get there, and I'd love anyone to jump on and join us for this journey here. With it all being said, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend's football action, and I'll see you guys on the podcast or video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.